Viewers' discretion is advised. Story 1.
I was originally hesitant to recount this story for fear of invoking the wrath of the unknown. Today's luxurious hotel, once, it was known as the original St. Vincent's Hospital, a place of healing and despair, and the sole refuge for the ailing in Santa Fe for ages. The old St. Vincent's Hospital, shrouded in horror stories and tormented spirits, has now been reborn as a lavish hotel. It's a transformation that defies logic and chills the soul, for I would never dare to rest my head there, even if riches were abundant. And now the same structure stands reborn as a luxury hotel, a facade hiding a past too gruesome to ignore. The hotel conceals its ominous history. Let me delve into the harrowing past, starting with the milder of two well-known incidents that plagued this place. On a desolate late winter night, a young nurse, her spirit untarnished by the darkness that lay ahead, toiled away on the third-floor nurse station. Amid her duties, a child's agonized cries pierced the silence echoing from the dark corridor. She followed the anguished wails to room 3111, where they seemed to originate. Yet, as she opened the door, the cries fell silent, and the room was eerily empty. Puzzled and unnerved, she ventured further to investigate, checking the other rooms, all of whose occupants slumbered. As she retreated to the nurse station, the torment resumed. The cries of a helpless infant in pain and agony haunted her once more. Imagine the torment of a compassionate nurse, hearing the anguished plea of a suffering child, knowing she could not alleviate its pain. Her footsteps led her back to room 311, where the cries ceased yet again. The next night, she sought solace in her colleagues, only to discover that the third-floor nurses shared her nightmarish experience. It was a phenomenon that peaked during winter, particularly around the time of Christmas. They offered her one chilling piece of advice: ignore it. Yet, on that fateful Christmas Eve, the cries returned with a sinister twist. The baby's plaintive wails had etched their traumatic imprint on her memory, but now they metamorphosed into the agonizing gasps of a child taking its final breaths.
Story 2.
In a subsequent gathering, a fellow nurse revealed her own grim tale. She had been on duty one Christmas Eve, responding to a gruesome highway accident that claimed the life of a father and his infant son. The baby, suffering from internal bleeding, had been rushed to the hospital only to succumb to his injuries within hours. The nurse recalled the rough, deep breaths of the dying child, a breath that echoed in her memory. The room of the infant's passing, room 311. As if this tale were not heart-wrenching enough, a darker horror lingers within these walls. The basement, a place where malevolence thrives. Voices of the disembodied, piercing screams, violent crashes, and shadowy apparitions are mere preludes to the nightmare that dwells below. Visitors have been not only touched but violently pulled and pushed by unseen hands, as if the very shadows conspired against them. Yet, what truly sends shivers down the spine is the chilling testimony of those who have witnessed blood oozing from the walls. It is not just a ghostly presence that resides in the basement. Some speak of a demonic force that lurks. During its time as a nursing home, staff capitalized on the basement's fearsome reputation. Newcomers were subjected to a twisted initiation, plunged into the labyrinthine darkness without a flashlight, tasked with finding their way back to the third floor. The basement was a realm of impenetrable darkness, with only the faint glow of exit signs to guide the way. It was an eerie and vast maze. One night, after initiating a nurse's aid, a chilling incident unfolded. A nurse was tasked with accompanying the trembling aide to the basement, wishing her good luck and instructing her to meet them back on the third floor. When she failed to return promptly, concern turned to panic. With trepidation, another nurse's aide accompanied her to the depths. In the gloom, they found the frightened girl huddled behind an old filing cabinet, trembling in abject terror. As they led her to safety, they discovered an unsettling substance on the room's walls. It clung to their fingers and emitted a coppery scent. To their horror, it was blood. Panic and fear gripped them, the basement's malevolence staining their very beings. Later that night, the maintenance man, a witness to the building's horrors over the years, shared a grisly revelation. The basement had once served as a crematory for surgical remnants and amputated limbs used by the hospital staff. It was as if the dread and fear harbored by those who had suffered there had awakened an unspeakable evil. The nursing home eventually closed its doors, leaving the building vacant. During my teenage years, it became a haven for graffiti artists and curious adventurers. Many spoke of encounters with the paranormal, capturing chilling words through spirit box sessions. Figures were seen in windows, a stark reminder of the darkness that still clung to the building. And now the same structure stands reborn as a luxury hotel, a facade hiding a past too gruesome to ignore. The hotel conceals its ominous history. If you decide to venture into this luxurious abyss in Santa Fe, tread with caution. Avoid the third floor and shun the basement's abyssal depths, unless you seek a harrowing encounter with the unknown. The hotel may offer opulence, but it harbors secrets that the bravest would hesitate to confront.
Story 3.
I had embarked on a grueling 9-hour drive to meet my parents at a halfway point. The plan was to rendezvous at an agreed-upon hotel to pick up my 2-year-old daughter. Given the long journey we had undertaken, I assumed we'd all spend the night there. As I gathered my daughter's belongings, I inquired, "Are you going to stay here too?" My dad's response was a simple, "No, we are gonna head back." Disappointment mingled with understanding, as I knew my parents weren't particularly fond of hotels. Alone with my daughter, I checked in and proceeded to our room. The hour was late, but I've never been one for slumber during the night. I'm more of a night owl. With the TV casting its feeble glow across the room, I nestled into the bed, my daughter in hers. Fatigue from the car ride had swiftly lulled her into slumber. Darkness enveloped the room, save for the flickering illumination of the television. I sat propped up against the headboard, legs stretched out beneath the covers. It was then, in that quiet room, that the bizarre and eerie unfolded. Without warning, a chilling sensation gripped both my toes simultaneously, as if unseen hands had clamped down on them. Startled, I recoiled, drawing my legs towards my chest, my knees pressed tightly against my body. Panic surged, and I fumbled for my phone, using its meager light to scan the foot of the bed. There was nothing there, just the haunting emptiness of the room. I sat there, feigning composure, as if I hadn't just experienced something inexplicable. Inside, I was screaming, determined not to show fear to whatever lurked in the shadows. After a few agonizing minutes of pretending, I cautiously relaxed my legs and resumed watching TV. But then, the inexplicable continued. I felt pressure beside my leg, as if someone or something was leaning onto the bed from the end. It was as though both hands were planted firmly on the mattress. The sensation shifted, as if the left hand moved forward and pressed down, followed by the right hand drawing nearer to my knee. An eerie, almost playful methodicalness unfolded, as if something was crawling up towards my face. The movements mirrored a sinister dance, reminiscent of Harley Quinn, with a palm-down approach followed by fingers rolling forward. Imagine the gait of a person walking, but exaggerated and unsettling. It crawled closer, its presence filled with malevolence, its motions deliberate and unhurried. I couldn't shake the feeling that whatever it was relishing my fear. In an instant, I flung off the blankets and fled, leaping into my daughter's bed, clinging to the hope that her innocence would protect me. I nestled beside her, facing the wall, and there I saw it, shadowy figures flitting across the wall like specters in the night. Panic surged anew, and I jumped up, desperately switching on the light, hastily gathering our belongings to make a hasty retreat. As I descended to the lobby to check out, the clock read 4 a.m., and the night shift worker looked surprised, remarking, "You are leaving early." Nervous laughter escaped my lips as I asked, "By any chance, do you ever hear stories about this hotel being haunted?" I desperately hoped for a shared laugh to ease my nerves. Instead, his response sent shivers down my spine. "Why? What room were you in?" I disclosed the room number, and his reply confirmed my worst fears. "I don't know why they put you over there. I never put people over there. Ever since we got new owners, they did a cleansing on the building thinking things would get better, but since then things have gotten worse." Staring at him, I stammered, "Yeah, I don't think it worked." That night, an indelible mark was etched into my memory, an encounter with the inexplicable that I felt compelled to share. It's a night that lingers, a haunting experience forever etched in my mind, serving as a stark reminder that sometimes, when the lights go out, the unknown emerges from the shadows.